He lived in palaces that gleamed with gold, drove cars worth more than most nations' GDP, and yet, beneath the glittering walls, fear clung to every shadow. This is the story of Uday Hussein, Saddam's eldest son, a man born into power who spiraled into darkness. Join me as we explore his life, his secrets, and the shocking truth of what became of him.
Iraq, the 1980s, a country ruled by a man whose name alone sent tremors through the world, Saddam Hussein. But behind the iron gates of Baghdad's presidential palace, there was another presence, a storm in human form. His name, Uday Saddam Hussein, the eldest son, the heir apparent. From the very beginning, Uday was draped in privilege, Swiss boarding schools, imported sports cars, endless wealth. Yet something in him was different, a charm that could captivate and a darkness that could terrify. Those who met him remembered the sudden swings, laughter, then rage, celebration, then cruelty. It wasn't just power he inherited, it was the shadow of a regime that demanded fear. By the time he was a young man, everyone in Baghdad, everyone, had learned one truth. Crossing Uday Hussein could mean the end of your life.
Uday was not content to simply be the son of a dictator. He wanted to rule in his own right. He controlled Iraq's media, the Olympic Committee, the National Football Federation, institutions that gave him absolute authority, and he wielded it without mercy. Stories emerged that sound almost unreal today. Athletes beaten for losing matches, journalists executed for trivial mistakes, women abducted because he found them attractive. Once at a party in 1988, he murdered a high-ranking aide in front of hundreds of witnesses. The reason? The man had introduced a woman to Saddam, a woman Uday wanted for himself. For this, he was briefly imprisoned, but no prison could contain the son of Saddam Hussein. His violence wasn't limited to physical brutality. He terrorized entire neighborhoods, exiling families, burning property, and making entire communities bend to his whims. Yet even as Baghdad feared him, he became almost a cultural enigma, a figure of fascination, mystery, and dread.
Despite the chaos, Uday's public image was carefully curated. Sometimes, he threw lavish parties where champagne flowed like rivers and gold-plated guns sat on tables like ornaments. He collected exotic animals, lions, tigers, turning his palaces into private zoos. A young man raised in opulence, yet deeply scarred by power and expectation. He survived assassination attempts, most famously in 1996 when gunmen ambushed his Porsche in Baghdad. 17 bullets tore through the car. Miraculously, he survived. But the man who emerged was different. A crooked smile, a limp, pain that fueled anger. A prince of chaos reduced to a wounded predator. Even in injury, he clung to his privileges. He filled rooms with designer suits, art stolen from museums, luxury cars lined up like soldiers. Everything, it seemed, was about him. And yet the world outside Iraq was changing. By 2003, the United States was moving into Iraq. The empire Saddam had built was crumbling, and Uday, along with his younger brother Qusay, became two of the most wanted men on Earth. Their faces were plastered on most wanted cards, their names whispered in fear, across Baghdad and the world.
On July 22, 2003, the story reached its violent conclusion. U.S. intelligence had pinpointed their location, a villa in Mosul. Inside, Uday, Hussein, and Hussein's teenage son. For hours, gunfire ripped through the night. Grenades, machine guns, chaos. And when the dust settled, the sons of Saddam Hussein were dead. The world saw their bodies on television. Men who had ruled with fear, who had tormented thousands, were suddenly mortal, stripped of power, stripped of privilege. To many Iraqis, it was surreal. The people who had cowered for decades now walked among rubble, staring at the remains of palaces, gold-plated weapons, and luxury cars left behind.
Uday Hussein's life is a mirror, a reflection of what happens when absolute power meets absolute impunity. Born to rule, he was never taught to love, to empathize, to restrain. And in his end, we see the fragility of human ambition. He is remembered not as a hero or a visionary, but as a symbol of unchecked privilege, of cruelty, and of the hollow allure of power. His story lingers in Baghdad's streets, in the stories of those who survived, in the quiet emptiness of his abandoned palaces. And perhaps the most haunting thought of all, what becomes of a man who has everything, yet is consumed by nothing but himself?
And yet, beyond the headlines and the tales of terror, there were glimpses of the man behind the legend. Friends and bodyguards who survived recall moments of laughter, rare, fleeting, almost human. A boy who once rode bicycles in Switzerland, who once dreamed of being admired, of being loved. But those fragments were always swallowed by the walls of the palace, by the weight of expectation, by the shadow of a father who demanded obedience above all. Uday's life reminds us that even in darkness, humanity flickers, brief sparks that the world rarely sees. And it forces a question that lingers long after his death. Can power ever truly coexist with compassion? Or does it always consume